Okay, so starting the purse instructions, I've already drawn around the coin purse pieces on the fabric. It didn't need to be a very exact seam, so I didn't have to measure them, seam allowance, I didn't have to measure them. I just simply placed them on the fabric that I've got, which is from some old clothes of my husband's, and I cut around them, leaving about 1 centimetre, half an inch seam allowance all the way around. This is actually a stretchy fabric, so even if I'd cut them very accurately, it might not have been that noticeable. Then, having cut the pieces out, I need to fold the seam allowance over to the wrong side of but this fabric, it presses into position very easily, so I've actually skipped that step for this evening. I can see that I'll be able to hold that in, so I need to make sure that I've got a little bit of a crease in there. Just it doesn't stay even when I did try pressing it, so I'm just going to be kind of pressing it with my fingers as I go. I think if you were using a woven fabric, that part of the instructions would be more important, really, so I would be doing that all the way around if I were using a woven fabric. I will be then stitching the right side of the lining pieces along the crease line to the wrong side of the zip fastener. So this is the right side of my zip fastener. I want that on the outside side of the project, and so my lining needs to be sewn so that the right side of the lining, the bit I want to see when I open the coin purse, will be attached to the zip's wrong side. So now I can remove my pins from there, and I'm actually going to pin the zip in place. So let's keep that seam allowance pinned in there. I should pin that on that side, and then keeping that centimetre seam allowance pressed towards the zip, I'll be working along the zip and put another pin in there until I get to the end of the zip. And the zip will need to curve round because this is a circular piece of fabric, and you can see that it's doing that quite nicely as I go. I should take that off there for now, and then I shall sew this piece first, and then I'll be doing the same with the other piece of the lining and attaching them both there at the base. Rather than waste any time, I'll add a knot. So I'm just going to be working a very simple running stitch. I don't think it needs to be any more precise than that. I could of course use a whip stitch or a back stitch here. I'm just trying to make sure I keep it far enough away from the zip that I'm not going to get the pull of the zip fastener caught on the fabric, so I'm keeping it maybe about 3mm away from the zip itself. Let's just make sure that that is where the zip pulls to. That's as far as it goes, yes. So I'm going to fasten that there. And then I'm going to repeat that with the other piece on the other side, using the edge that I'd flattened down very slightly. I'm going to pin that in place. So I'll be fastening that at the same point on the other side. And again, I'm going to secure it here. So sewing the right side of the lining to the wrong side of the zip fastener, and keeping just far enough away that it won't get caught as the pull slides up and down to close. close it. I'll just pull that, just fasten that off there. So let's make sure, so this is the wrong side, this is the side that will be against the crochet in the bag, and we can see the zip fastener here. Let's make sure that that opens and closes easily. Yeah, that's right, that doesn't catch on the stitches at all. So now I'm going to place the right sides, and again this is the right sides, the bit that's going to show, not the side that you've got the turning on. I'm going to place those together now, and I'm just simply going to sew around the edge of the circle. Now here I'll try and make a slightly stronger stitch because this will have to take the weight of the coins. I'm going to pin the zip out of the way initially, just to keep it out of my way while I'm sewing. And then I'm just going to pin a couple of points around there. Just where my seam finishes. I don't know if you can see that I've sewn a seam there. I perhaps should have done this particular project on a daytime stream when the dark fabric isn't such a problem. So this is where I'm going to start sewing, and I'm going to make a few stitches at that point because of course the zip pull could pull against that, so I want to make a really strong seam right there. Hopefully it wouldn't pull too much with it being a stretch fabric. There'd be a little bit of give in it. The fabric could give rather than the thread being snagged by the opening the zip. There we go, that should be enough. And so again, my seam allowance was about 1 centimetre or half an inch, and so I'll be sewing about 1 centimetre or half an inch from the edge, and this time the wrong side is facing outwards. Previous, when I said it's a zip, the right side was facing outwards. Now here I want this to be a bit stronger, so I'm actually going to use a back stitch for it. I think that should give a stronger result. So we're just getting to the end now. This is where the zip fastener will open. So of course we've got the zip pull is on the top there. I'm not sure how easy it is to see that in the light there. And I just want to make sure I get to just the right point so that the zip fastener can open to its fullest extent, but also not to leave any gaps there that things could fall out. The whole point of the little coin purses so that any small items don't fall through the crocheted part of the bag. So I'll just stitch this in place, and again I'm going to reinforce this bit because I think that there could be some pressure on there from opening and closing. And once I've done that, then I'll open that's right up to where the zip opens. So that's the lining prepared now. I made a few stitches to secure the end. What I'll do is just trim these couple of threads from where I fastened it off and rejoined it. So now I need to add the crochet pieces as well. And again, I've got the wrong sides are going together. This is an Aran weight cotton, the same one that I used to make the bag. I'm going to attach the coin purse pieces together around the edge, and I've said you could use a sewn seam or a slip stitch seam, or another alternative would be to work a UK double crochet or US single crochet from the front through both of them, and that could give you kind of contrast edging. To me, the edges look quite bulky already, so I'm just going to whip stitch through the back loops of the stitches. So I'll leave a long tail there to start with, and I'll weave that in afterwards. So I'm just going to run a whip stitch through each of the loops, I think. Yes, I'll just be working through each of them, and when they're about the right length, so they've just got that 4-inch gap between them to match the zip, then I will be placing the lining inside. To make sure I don't go too far around, let's just measure a 4-inch space or 10 centimetre space for the zip. So I'm going to want to work round to about here. Oops, that's caught on the pin there. And then I think I probably want one more where the pin was. So that's the coin purse now. I'll be able to put the lining inside. Fingers crossed everything fits. That can go there. I'll just fold that a little bit to get it inside to make sure I don't stretch out the stitches. And then I'm going to open the zip ready for sewing. Just make sure, yeah, that's it. The lining is at the seam together. I can feel the seam all the way around inside. And now I can pin this in place and start sewing them together. I'll come back and weave in the yarn ends afterwards. And again, what I want to make sure here is that I don't put it too close. I want to be able to open the zip fully, and then I might come back and just stitch over a little bit more with the yarn if I want to close that some more. So again, what I want to do here is make sure that I don't want the zip to come off the track, so I'll be sewing around the edge here. Actually, let's start from inside. I can tuck that thread end away inside there, and then I won't need to trim it unless it starts coming out of the purse. Pop that back in. And here I'm using a whip stitch. I'm trying to get fairly small amounts of the thread really visible over the crochet. It's not a perfect match for that, it's a better match for the zip fastener. That was as close as I could get, so I'll just be catching a very small amount of the yarn. And again, I want to really reinforce it at this point, because it would be very easy for the thread to break. That off there, and then we'll see how it works. I'm going to crochet up a little bit further on this side, or sorry, whip stitch a little bit further up on this side using the yarn. So there's almost like a cover for the zip pull. I want it to be able to fit in quite snugly. Right. Let's go behind there. And then I'll just fasten off the thread. There. So I'll just finish off with a few more whip stitches around that area. Actually, I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Side to that side. And then I'll be able to secure that and weave those ends in. And I've got the ends on the start of the same thread to weave in as well. So I've actually pulled the thread there to weave it in through the whip stitches I've made with it, and that should be the coin purse finished.